Let's get started. Let's get started.
Welcome, everybody. You're tuned in to Adelante with Arlene, and this is my segment, Speak It Out, Sing It Loud. Today, I am so excited to have, yet another friend of mine. Yes, another friend of mine, Jayquan. He's recording artist, entrepreneur, actor, and so much more. And extremely funny, by the way. Jayquan, welcome to my show. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, my sister. It's been a long time. I'm so proud of you. I'm watching you doing your thing. I'm glad you're back on the air. It's been a while. We missed you on the air. So, it's great. It's great to see you.
Well, thank you. That's a compliment coming from a pro like you who's had so much experience with the cameras in your face. Yes, I remember all those years of you hosting on red carpets and all that.
Oh,
That's fabulous. So for those of you who may not remember, because sometimes, you just guys kind of forget, but I know you don't forget Jayquan. Jayquan, I know him as a freestyle recording artist. But I had the pleasure to meet him again later on in my later life in Fort Lauderdale. And we became close friends and family. And I was able to see him do so many other wonderful things that he's going to share with you. Jay, one thing I didn't know about you is I know you are a New Yorker, a former New Yorker, but I do not know where you were born and raised in New York.
I was born in Puerto Rico, though. I am Puerto Rican, born in Puerto Rico in Ponce, but I was raised in New York in the Bronx. So I'm how you say a New York Rican, how we, us Puerto Ricans say that in New York Rican, because, I wasn't raised in Puerto Rico. I would have loved to. That way I would have known my culture. I would have known more about, the race of Puerto Ricans, but the fact I was raised in New York, so I'm a New York Rican. So I got that New York Rican slang.
What part of the Bronx?
I was raised in between Tremont Avenue and the Grand Concourse.
Unbelievable.
So that area unbelievable. That's where I was.
You know what's unbelievable to me, guys out there listening, that when I get to speak to my friends again, that's not the first topic of conversation. I don't rarely go and say, hey, where did you live again? But it's unbelievable because, I'm from the Bronx and I am from Castle Hill area. So go figure, right, Jay? That you and I, before we probably ever became the recording artists that we're known as, actually crossed paths so many times. Isn't that something?
Definitely.
Because no matter how big New York is, it's something small about it when it comes to meeting people. It's just unexplainable. So, Jay, did you always know you wanted to be an entertainer? I'm going to hit it right from the beginning because you are such an entertainer. Tell me, did you know that from growing up?
Growing up, my parents were both from the Bronx and they're both Puerto Ricans and they come from Puerto Rico as well. And, my dad was in a group back in the 50s. He came from a 4-guy group called the Emeralds. So, seeing my dad when I was young, I remember seeing my dad coming from a gig and going back to the basement and rehearse. They used to do doo-wop music. So it was always harmonies and the singing and stuff. And my mom, was also a very famous choreographer, dancer, mambo.
Wow.
Her name is Carmen Robles. So my mom also coming from doing a show with Tito Puente and Celia Cruz, because my mother used to dance for Tito Puente.
Get out of here. I didn't know that.
She was one of the mambo ladies that used to, perform for Tito when he would, do shows in the Copa and the Palladium and stuff like that. My mom was one of the dancers for him. So just knowing and seeing when I was young, them, doing their shows and coming back. And mind you, this is the 70s now I'm talking about that I remember seeing these things, So they've been in the group for years doing their thing. And then when I told them that I start a group, my dad looked at me and he said, do you need vocal lessons? You know, and my mom, of course, my mom was always teaching me dancing, how to do the salsa, dance merengue, cha cha. I learned how to do ballet because my mother used to teach me how to dance because my mom had a nightclub back in the Bronx in the 80s. She owned her own nightclub. So, I used to
Wow.
always see them rehearsing there, doing their thing. So, you know, when I decided to start a group, and my group, of course, was the Nasty Boys, you
Hmm.
know, and when I got into the music industry, that was a whole door opener for me, and not hard because of my parents in the industry themselves knowing. So my mind was always the business in the group, like, you know, Tushawn, my brother Tushawn, my brother Javelle, when we got together, every single one of us played a part in the group. Tushawn was always singing, writing the music, and doing choreography. Javelle was always choreography, and we will always come to him with when it comes to a gig, his opinion and his outcome towards what we should do and stuff like that. That was his department. But when it came to the management side and you know getting the contacts and getting the gigs and discussing payments and all that, that was all me. That was all me, and the guys left that up to me because that was always my mentality, and it still is. I still negotiate contracts and deals and all that, and gigs, and that's something that it was always me, and my passion was always the business side of everything. When it comes to the entertainment, it was always my passion, the
Well, if
business side.
anybody that knows you, like I've known you, been around you, knows that you are definitely born. We're born to be an entertainer. It oozes out of you. It's not separate from who you are. It is a huge part of who you are. You're as a creative person. You're just extremely creative, but also that entrepreneurship, which is awesome to hear that your parents really deposited that in you at a very early age, because that's so important in this business.
Mhm.
Because some of us developed that, like myself, a little later on in life. Only because being a woman in, I'm going to say, still exists that way. Being a woman in the entertainment business was never easy, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
being a woman that was working predominantly in the world of business that she was sit with only men as myself, it was difficult to have your voice be heard. So I don't think that happened for me till a little later on. But for you, yeah, it's something that was deposited in you from the beginning. Well,
Yeah.
Jay, who named the group the Nasty Boys? That's some name. So the name Nasty Boys for the group. I'm
Yeah.
going there. Who named the group and why?
We, I'm gonna say it from the beginning. I started as a male stripper. I started as a male stripper, and when I was doing the stripping, at the age of 17, I met Trishawn. Trishawn is the black guy from the Nasty Boys, and me and Trishawn were strippers for a little bit, and then I knew Javelle, Kid Smurf from the Nasty Boys. I knew her from high school, so we all got together, we Javelle was the one that says, "Yo, let's start a group." And I said, "Well, I got a perfect partner. He's a great singer, and he's my partner in the stripping." So we got Javelle into stripping as well. We got him into stripping. So all three of us were strippers for like about 2 or 3 years. And then Javelle was like, "Bro, let's start a group." So we started singing as we were stripping. It was part of our act. It was part of
Okay.
our act. And then I remember we went to a festival in Manhattan, and it was a freestyle concert. And we were, on the street watching the show, and Maribel,
Mhm.
Maribel that sings Roses are Red, Violets are Blue,
Yes.
Don't Make Me Promises. Maribel was performing, and she had these two dancers. And I told the guys, I said, "Hey, I know her. She lives around our way. I know she, from our neighborhood." So I approached her manager, and I said, I went to meet up with them, and I approached the manager, and I said, "Listen, we would love to, be her backup dancers. Give us a
Mm.
shot." So he said, "Okay, give me a choreography routine to this song by Friday." I met him on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So when I went to meet him on a Tuesday, he said, give me choreography for Don't Make Me Promises, a routine. I brought it back to the guys. The guys, we all got to this, the basement. We started doing some choreography. We came up with a badass routine.
Yes.
So when we went to see her that Friday, she had a show. She had a show that Saturday. She had a show. So he ended up telling us, "Okay, y'all ready to perform tomorrow?" And we're like, "Of course, let's do it." And then from that moment, the buzz was out. Maribel and her Nasty Boys. Maribel and her
Ah.
Nasty Boys. And we performed for her for about 3 months. 3 months. That's all it took. 3 months. And we end up doing the show in Queens with Maribel, and JR from Honor
Mm-hmm.
Roll Records was managing Donna Williams.
Mm-hmm.
When he was managing her, he saw us performing. He approached me and he says, "Listen, do you guys know how to sing? This and that." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Here's my number. Come to my office, in Queens on Monday, and let's sit down and talk about, signing you guys." We came
Wow.
that Monday. We auditioned for JR and Big Al. They loved us. Tuesday, we had a contract.
That is fabulous. See, I didn't know those beginnings. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I want to see that not the beginning of freestyle, that was a very popular occurrence, different stories from many of the freestyle artists, because we were discovered in a different way than people are being discovered today. It's TikTok, YouTube, things of that nature. But you and I were discovered just the same way you said. One person saw us, heard about us, and then another person inquired about us, and then before you know it, we were so blessed we had a real legit recording contract. That
Yeah.
is something else. Now
Oh,
things
yeah.
have changed now, and it doesn't mean it's what do you call it, not good or too good. But I am glad that it happened for me and for you the old-fashioned kind of generic way. Someone heard and someone saw and someone jumped on that and boom. That was
Mhm.
great.
I remember seeing you performing in silver screens in
Uh,
Queens,
uh-huh.
and your show was like, forget it, was the bomb. Like your show was killing
Thank
it. You
you.
guys were killing it. And I remember from there on, we just started performing everywhere, and I was seeing you everywhere, performing everywhere.
Well, I got discovered by, I'll share just for a minute. I don't think I ever did. I got discovered by me going to audition in the Bronx in a grill. It was actually a restaurant place. There was a DJ there, and they were auditioning singers. And I sang. I can't remember what I sang, but I sang something. And he loved the way I sang, and immediately he wanted to give me a record contract. Now I was only 18. So what ended up happening was I was foolish and I signed way too quickly.
Mm.
But just a week later, through word of mouth, which is kind of hard for you all to believe now because you got TikTok and YouTube. It was a word of mouth. Go figure that. In New York City, I was approached by Eddie Mercado, and I heard about you. He said, and he
Mhm.
only lived not so far away. I had no idea how he even got in touch with me. And as a result, he said, I can get you a record deal. And in a
Mm.
week's time, I had a legit record contract myself too. Amazing, right, Jay?
Oh
It's
yeah.
not like that for everybody these days. Jayquan, what was your first show? Where was it with the Nasty Boys? Where was it? That first show as the Nasty Boys after Maribel, after
Holy.
being
Believe it or not, Arlene, it was so fast because the word was already out of Nasty Boys because of Maribel.
yes,
And when Honor Roll Records put out the first song, What I'm Feeling, it
yes,
was like our first show. Mind you, we talking about maybe September. I'm gonna say September. Our, we finished recording What I'm Feeling, and our first show was supposed to be in December, the Christmas party. And I'm talking about from September to December. All that time, our first gig was supposed to be the Christmas party. Well, between that first gig that we were supposed to have, we were booked 3 or 4 times every weekend
Amazing.
after that. So to tell you the first show, it had to be somewhere in Queens. I can't tell if it was, one of these, clubs, Spice or something, Silver Screens.
Yeah.
I don't remember because there
Do
was so
you
many
do you
shows that we did.
remember do you remember the year or how old you were? Just
The year
curious.
was it was definitely 89.
Ah.
89 that we, signed our first contract. And mind
Okay.
What I'm Feeling got on the radio right after we just finished recording it. And it was on the radio station, Hot or Not. It was on
Yes,
Hot or
yes,
Not,
yes,
Hot
yes,
103. It was on Hot
yes.
103, Hot or Not. So it was that Saturday that we got the phone call to tell us, listen to the radio because What I'm Feeling is going to get played. And if it becomes Hot or Not, it's going to be on rotation that Monday.
Yes.
So it got played on Monday.
Yes.
It was number one, and it was
Yeah.
on the rotation right after that Monday.
That's amazing, right? It's so hard for anybody who's listening to believe that. They're like, "What? Are you kidding me?" It was for me, for us, leather. It was Leather and Lace, as you know, and it was 1984. So after it was close to. It was November 1984 when we did our first show.
Mhm.
So I was just turning 19 in December.
Wow.
But what we had was Kiss FM at that time. So, it wasn't even called Freestyle when Leather
Right.
Relations was out. And they did Hot or Not, but it was
Mhm.
Kiss FM that did the Hot or Not for us. And so at that time, it was the very early time, as you know. So there still wasn't the radio station. So just like yourself, it's when I went solo in 1988 that I ended up getting to records stations in New York City and heavy rotation, which means literally if you time it, you're played every 4 hours back then.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
4 hours, you're like, again? And it's the most amazing thing. Now I want to talk about when you moved to Florida. What made you move to Florida? Here we are, New Yorkers, and all of a sudden we find ourselves living in Florida. Why? Why did you make that transition from New York after the success and music happening and all those incredible gigs? Why did you move to Florida?
We, the Nasty Boys, we were booked a whole weekend in Florida. Now, this is amazing because this is how it happened for me.
Mhm.
We were booked to do a show in South Beach. We flew down with, JR, the whole Nasty Boy crew. And we had a show in South Beach that Friday. Amazing. I love this South Beach. It was beautiful back in the 90s. Beautiful. And then Saturday, we had a show in Key West. So we drove that night right after the show all the way to Key West. We did a show Saturday night in Key West. Beautiful. Key West was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had to leave and drive 7 hours all the way to Orlando. Get to Orlando because we had a show that Sunday in Orlando. Beautiful Orlando. First time he ever seen Florida. So I
Yes.
love the South Beach. Got to see Key West. Got to see Orlando. Amazing. Beautiful. We drive back to back to Miami. Monday. I told the guys I'm staying. They like, what? I said, I'm staying. And I stood. I went, I got me an apartment, and I lived here ever since.
Yes. When Leather and Lace would perform the first years, it was always in Miami, just like you. It was always in South Beach. It was just the most hottest and incredible atmosphere during our beginnings of our music to be down there constantly. So it did make sense that you made the transition because it was getting tough. We had to keep going every weekend and spend a long time and then go back again. So I totally, totally agree. So you stood. I didn't stay, but I always wish that I had bought like some condo or something out there, that I would have still had. So Jay, when you and I crossed paths again, fast forward because it's been way too many years. When we crossed paths, it was when I was living in Fort Lauderdale temporarily, and I was living with another recording artist. And it was about the year 2009-ish, because I remember 2009. I remember. How did you find out I was living there? Because I remember how awesome you came over to the house and you said we just had the best conversation. When? How did you hear? I don't even remember. We didn't even have Facebook.
Um, Believe it or not, I didn't even know. I just happened to knock on the door and you answered. Because at that time, if you remember, at that time we were setting up to do a cruise.
Oh yes,
Yeah, so that person that you were, you
yes,
guys, your roommate there
yes.
was part of the cruise. So that's
That's
how we got
true.
you to be also a part of the cruise because
Oh
you would
my
end up there.
God. Yes. So I
Yes.
answered the door. I'm going to tell you guys this part that you don't know about Jay, how kind he is and how loyal he is as a friend when you meet him. It's good to have friends like Jay because a woman growing up in New York City, I had to be streetwise, classy, but streetwise. So to have a brother that knows the streets and knows how to handle and knows the mentality of some men is a protective brother to have. So I was very blessed and still am. So I remember that you said to me something so beautiful. You shared with me some meeting with me at one show or something, and we were in passing. But then most of all, you said how you had known that I had become a Christian somehow, and you said that you saw me as that positivity, as that light,
Always,
as
always
someone,
positive.
you
You've
know,
always been positive.
and I am so grateful for that. That's why I'm speaking out, sing aloud. I only have friends of old and friends of new that I have had those kinds of friendships with. So,
Mhm.
Jay, I went on to see you do, and I know you're still doing some incredible, incredible things. Tell me if this you possibly can remember. Who so far has been your favorite top person that you've met that's been a celebrity? That's right. I know there's many.
I'm gonna say one person that blew my mind in the industry, and it was just he was walking, and I was just happened to be in California in Hollywood. I got to
Yes.
actually meet Michael Jackson.
What? Are you
So
kidding
when I
me?
saw him, blew my mind. His energy was like unreal. Unreal. Look, my hairs are standing right now. That's how bad it was when I got to meet him and take a picture with him. You know, it was awesome.
Oh, that is incredible.
Unreal.
Tell me, you
Unreal.
went on to do some TV stuff. How, you're such a walking advertisement. How did you manage to do that in Florida? Everywhere I turned around, there was Jayquan in doing something of a great magnitude. Tell me,
You
how
know,
did
it was happened to be, because I'm in the industry and in the music, this person that happened to, you know, wants to launch his TV show,
yes.
and it was all about the entertainment line life and the fact that he know that I knew a lot of people in the industry. He approached me about being his host, and it's for the TV show called VIP TV. It's
Mhm.
been on for 10 years. We had how
Mm.
many segments? How many 9 seasons we had the show
Wow.
running. We were on 95 on a billboard. Jayquan was on a billboard. For
Wow.
6 months, you drive by Oakland on 95, you see me right up there. You know what I'm saying? So the
Yes.
show was a great show. It was on Mundo Fox, CW. We had great hosts. I was the only male, and I had 4 women. They were also, my co-hosts, and they were amazing too. I give it out to these girls, these women that was part of VIP TV, and we all made it grow. The show was great. It was great.
What would you say to the younger generation? Like our mentality and our starts were very different than their starts. What would you tell them right now if they are starting to jump into the entertainment business in some way or another? What would you advise them?
I would say, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You know, learn your craft. I'm saying? Learn your craft. Listen, I've always paid attention to, you know, people like Elvis Presley. That he's right up there, guys. See, that's one of my idols right there. You got Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson. These guys, they lived and eat and sweat this industry of the music industry. Like if just I'm gonna read just the other day, I just watched the movie, the story of Elvis Presley. I
Mhm.
just saw it. They just released a new movie about Elvis,
Mhm.
and it was just blow mind. I mean, just blows your mind how this man was music. He was music, just like Michael Jackson. I tell a lot of people this, and I tell a lot of young people too. You want to get in this industry? Watch the video of Michael Jackson. This is it. Watch it. Watch it 100 times and analyze every little sketch of that movie, and you're going to see the perfectionist, the artist, the man in that. So practice your craft. Don't go up there and just wing it. If you're going to wing it, you're going to wing it because you already know it. You already
Right.
have it in you. So your choreography, your stage presence, it's already amazing. So
Mhm.
that's how you have to be. You have to be, just like those legends. That's how
I
I feel.
agree. I agree. I think that what happens these days with a lot of the social media influences and all that sometimes is that people get too big for their own head. That's another thing. I think that we need to know all the aspects of what is happening around us in the business, learn from other people, good things, and learn what not to do, per se,
Hmm.
those are the bad things. But I also believe that sometimes some of us at the beginning, I might have been guilty of this. Um, don't know how to work with a team. And I think that you have to learn how to work as a team. I
Hmm.
think that although we have our own aspirations and our own desires, we could bring them to the table in our meetings and stuff because it is our career. We also need to open our ears to maybe listen to the advice of those people that might be working with us and take in and in consideration those things that may make it better, because it is for the betterment of us and our shows, and our fans, so that our fans would be, excited,
Yes.
Jay, I'm gonna bring it to a somber place right now because you're such a very confident man, always has viewed to all of us as being. Was there any time that you might have had a moment of like, is this what I'm going to be doing, or self-doubt? Any moment where you said, I don't think I want to do this anymore?
Nah,
Probably not.
nah, nah. I don't even like because as you know, my music is versatile. I just don't do
Yes,
freestyle. I do Latin, I do pop, I do reggaeton. I cater to every genre of the music
yes.
industry. So if somebody's doing even a hip hop event, I have material to do that hip hop. I got it.
Hmm.
So, just because you don't see me on a freestyle flyer, trust me, I'm doing other stuff.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
doing Latin. Like I've done shows with Daddy Yankee. I've done shows with Sean Paul. I've done shows with, um, Enrique Iglesias. Like I've done shows with, Emilio Stefan, Gloria Stefan's camp. You know what I'm saying? Like I, I just don't cater to that one thing. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, I love freestyle. We started there, but I grew out. I
Absolutely.
moved on
Yes.
because I started another group with Tito Puente Jr.
Right.
And that group was the Latin Rhythm. You know what I'm saying? And the Latin Rhythm went to a whole. It took my career to a whole different level because now I was doing Latin music. I'm performing with the Gran Combo. I'm performing with Celia. I'm performing with Tito back in. This is back in the '90s, and now in the 2000s, because of that, opened me up to where I can do Jayquan Latin. And I'm still performing, doing Latin, events and
Yes.
festivals and whatever.
CJ Kwan, you just said something to me that was so important for everybody to hear. And some people want to imitate other people, but what you did was you stood true to yourself. A lot of the companies, if we would have been with a record company right now that wouldn't have been independent or some, they would be always guiding, the direction we have to go in,
Mhm.
whatever's trending. I get that. But if we are out there, I'm saying this to anybody who's not signed yet, I think it's very important to learn to be versatile, to learn those markets, like you're saying, to be open and ready to not be put in one category, which is what they do to people in the music business.
Yeah.
I love singing Spanish, so I went to myself and I started doing some Spanish, music. I've done merengue. I have salsa I didn't get to do yet. Others other Spanish music from Argentina. It's
Mhm.
incredible. And I think that that's really important. I think we have to stop trying to be copycats unless we're picking something up from the greats like a Michael Jackson or Tina Turner or somebody of that nature. I understand that, or a
Oh,
John Legend or
definitely.
something. But the point is, it's best to be as original as you are and stay true to who you are and allow yourself to be versatile. If you can sing and you're a really good singer, you can sing anything. That's how I feel about it.
Hmm. Oh
Because
yeah,
if you
and
tell me to
listen,
learn,
you got vocals, woman.
oh,
Like
thank
when it
you,
comes to your vocals, nobody can say a damn thing. Arlene can sing. She
oh,
can
thank
blow.
you,
You
thank
listen.
you,
You
thank
can blow, and
you,
you can hit any song and ace it. Like I listen to your music. I grew up to your music. You know what I'm
thank
saying?
you.
And when I was on stage and saw you perform for the first time, in Queens, and I saw you, and I'm like, wow, this lady is like she killed it. Like this is an artist, and you came up on stage looking like an artist. You always
Thank
do,
you.
looking like an artist. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about these artists today, but you look like an artist every time you go up on stage. It's
Well, I
totally,
think,
and that's
thank
what you
you.
need to be. Like
Yeah.
I see some artists come up there with jeans and a t-shirt and this and that. And I'm like, you did not practice your craft. Like you did not pay attention to what's an artist. You know who's an artist? You look at people like Alicia Keys, you look at Justin Timberlake, you look at, Justin Bieber, you know what I'm saying? When those guys go on stage, they come like an artist. You know what I'm saying? You got all these pioneers that from back in the days. And now mind you, I'm listening and watching the R&B artists, the pop artists. Those are artists. They have artist status. So I'm going to go and put myself in that platform. So when
Mm-hmm.
I perform, I'm going to come dressed and prepared to be
Mm-hmm.
just like that. Not
Mm-hmm.
go up there
Mm-hmm.
looking like I just came. I'm not the person that talks about people. You know that. People know I don't go on social media talk about nobody. That's not my
Well,
forte.
presentation is important.
Yeah.
I think when you're in your raw, let's say you're auditioning, so now you have no distractions. You're listening to your voice. But
Hmm.
once you've already captured them with your voice or your talent, now it's time the next time to know that now that whole part of your style, which is going to start evolving and changing, you have to be true to who you are. And I maintain that. I never looked at another artist that was in my same genre and wanted to look like them. I never did that. Whether we did or we didn't, that wasn't something I did on purpose. I would go and see old movies and I would see the dresses of the famous dancers, and Fred Astaire and their partners. And I would look at the beautiful dresses the women had on, and I said, "All right, I'm going to take the top of that dress and I'm going to get it modern on the bottom, and then I'm going to put the feathers shorter, and then I would sketch it, and I would give it to a designer, and he would reproduce what
What
I
are you
had."
doing? What are you doing? You practicing your craft. You see, you're taking it to that you're taking it higher because you saw something in that person. And mind you, you said somebody's name, Fred Astaire. That is a legend. That is a legend dancer choreographer
Ooh, my internet.
actor.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm having trouble today.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Arlene, and you hit it right in the butt. That's exactly the way I think. I look at the greats and see what they done to get to where they at, and they there. I want to be there.
Absolutely. Jay,
That's what I want.
recently I saw that you joined again with your band, the band that you use. I saw an incredible clip. That was awesome. Where were you guys?
You like
Yes, I loved
that?
it.
It's funny. At rehearsal, not even rehearsal, on soundtrack, on sound check. I just came up with that step with the band right there and then. I said, "Yo,
Yes,
with this beat, with the beat hits right here, I want you guys to go boom with the guitars, boom with the guitar,"
loved it.
and it worked. It
I
was. I
loved
was
it.
like, "Oh my god, it was great."
You see,
So
John,
yeah,
Jayquan,
I've
but
always
that's
been with the band. I've always been with the band.
oh
I
yeah, yeah,
only
you
use
have.
them, huh?
Yes, you have. Absolutely. You see, Jay, what you did was teamwork there. That's the great
Mhm.
thing you keep saying. Jayquan is not saying that he might be a solo artist or a lead, but the truth of the matter is he knows and appreciates that it takes a team of people, creative people, to be able to help bring your vision along the way. So not to
Mhm.
ever get so full of ourselves that we can't be moldable and workable with other people, that are creative. Because the creative person that is like-minded with you can see something even further that you go, yes, yes, that's what I was thinking in my head. So that's really important. So now, before we sign off, I want to ask you, what is if you had to tell that young little Jayquan, maybe the at one time knucklehead Jayquan, something now that you're older and wiser, let's be for real. Come on, there had to be a time that you were hard headed. What would you tell your mature, wiser self right now?
Wow, that was a good one, Arlie. Because it's so many. So many.
Pick one.
You know, make the I don't know, just make the right choice, man. Just correct it. And because I can't, one thing I will never regret is all my kids.
Of course.
Never. Those are my angels, my girls, my boys, my grandkids today. I would never, that's out of the equation. Just focus more on myself a little more, you know, because I was all over the place. I was all over the place, and a lot had to do with the industry, of course. And I could have made better decisions, you know, in the music industry, because every freestyle artist got screwed.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
Okay? Everybody. So I just felt like I slept on that part when it came to the Nasty Boys, because we were so busy that
Mhm.
I couldn't take correctly and the payments correctly and the royalties correctly, and that was my fault for my group. I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, I agree with you totally. Now that you said that, yes, a lot of us did get screwed in that way financially. I went through an awakening during that moment myself. One day, I went into the office and I asked for every single one. It was a folder back then, and things were done with receipts and different. And I ended up with all these receipts, and I sat down for hours and I added up and subtracted all the people I had to pay out to see what I was really supposed to be left with.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't stop me from doing that because I had the right to go in there. They weren't the ones that were paying out to me. It was a manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I started noticing that there was some deficit in the money I was supposed to be getting from management giving to me.
Yes.
So while I forgave, guys, I forgave.
Yeah.
That's the part that we do have to be a little bit more wise and um, just careful and find the right people to manage you. Now, since after your Nasty Boys beginnings, you had the most fabulous manager that I could think of. That now is your beautiful wife.
That's right. That's my ace in the hole right there. You know.
Absolutely. And she
It's
was a
funny,
blessing.
Arlene. It's funny, real quick. I mean to cut you off.
Go
In the
ahead.
beginning of this interview, I was laughing, and I don't know if you caught it, but
Uh,
I had my hand like this, and then my wife grabbed my hand and she put my ring back on.
I do that to my husband. That's so funny.
She put my ring on because I took it off when I was just shaving. So she came
Yeah.
back in and said, "You forgot something."
That is so funny. So funny. Well, your beautiful wife Cheryl has been a part of your history for so many years. Your
Mhm.
your best friend, your confidant, and then
Oh yeah.
eventually you fell in love many years later. And it's a beautiful story. And it's weird to me, but good weird. I'm not saying bad weird because I always saw you differently as management, best friends, and then when you got married, I was excited, happy, and I
Thank you.
knew that you had finally gotten wiser and realized that that was the
Uh-huh.
best choice you could ever make without any other regrets, but the best choice you could have ever made. But in life, this is where we want to close. There's always a timing for everything. And as
That's
long
it.
as we continue to pursue and allow ourselves to be open and allow God to lead us and guide us, literally sooner or later, and hopefully for you too listening out there, you're going to see what the truth really is and what is the best thing for you. And in Jayquan's case, it was and is and always will be the wife that is his manager and his love. That is a beautiful story. And you can have a beautiful story out there too. It doesn't mean it has to be a romantic love story, but it still can be one that can make your life healthier, more productive, and you can learn from your mistakes and you can keep pressing through. This whole show is about sigue adelante. A lot of people want to continue to keep me in the box of freestyle singer. I am happy and I am grateful that I did that music. But I am so much more than that. Like Jayquan, I have done different types of music. I have acted. I have toured in acting. I have written a play. I have produced and directed a play of my own, and I put it out there as well. But people don't know because things and times were different back then, you know? So keep pushing on, everybody. Remember, speak it out, sing it loud, is so that we can speak it out, sing it loud, and let you guys know what's going on with us. Jayquan, what's coming up for you? Anything coming up? Like you always have something.
Listen, I'm booked all the way to January. You know,
okay.
I got shows coming up every month. I'm booked.
Where can we check? Where can we check that for you to see your events? To know where you're gonna be next.
Go on my Jayquan Music on Instagram, Jayquan on TikTok, Jayquan Feliciano on Facebook.
I will put the links on the YouTube so that you all can click, join, follow, subscribe, and all the above. Thank you so much for being on Speak It Out, Sing It Loud. Boy, it would have taken 3 or 4 more hours to even get more into things, but thank you for what you shared with the public, the people, with your fans, with your friends. I appreciate you and I love you.
I love you too.
At the end of every video, every podcast, I say, sigue adelante. Until next time.
Let me inspire.
Thank you for tuning in to Adelante with Arlene. Don't forget to subscribe to Adelante with Arlene and share my videos and inspire someone else.